Hello, welcome one and all to episode 122 of A Stitch in Time. Today is Monday, December 16th, 2019. You have no idea how many times I have butchered the date. It's either Tuesday or it's July or don't ask. My name's Carol. I am coming to you from my home in the Fraser Valley of British Columbia, and I can be found as Knitsnpurls on Ravelry. You will notice, if you are a regular viewer of the podcast, that I'm in a different location today. I thought it would be fun to go a little more cash and sit down here in front of the Christmas tree. I just hope I can get up again when I'm all done. Despite getting up quite early this morning, in part thanks to a telemarketer call at 6:35 this morning. Thank you very much. It is now, I think, around 1:30 in the afternoon, and I am just getting around to recording now. Just been busy with some various laundry and doing just odds and ends around the house and telephone calls, etc., and here we are. But let's get into it, shall we? I have plenty to talk about, and it is all spread out around me here on the floor. I have been mostly working on, well, no, not mostly. I have been working on Christmas knitting, Advent knitting for the past couple of weeks since we last spoke. So I do have several things that are finished, but the rest are all works in progress. And then, despite it being Christmas coming up, I've gone and bought a bunch of yarn. So I'm going to show that off too. So let's start with what I finished. Last time I recorded, I told you that my son had requested something called an F-bomb, which is a little stuffed bomb with an F on it that I guess you throw around. I don't know who came up with the idea, but I went on Ravelry and there are a whole bunch of patterns for this project. A lot of them are crochet, and the ones that he had originally seen were crocheted, but I much prefer knitting, and so I found a knitted pattern by Jennifer Spock Rank, and I made up 3 of them. So I just used some acrylic yarn I had used for a different project it's from Loops and Threads. It's called Impeccable. It's just acrylic. I think it's an Aran weight yarn. So this is the first one I made. And one thing is I found when I was working, this is duplicate stitch that you do after the fact. And what I found is that if I had to work it over where there'd been a decrease right around here, it was really hard to get the stitches looking right. And so on subsequent ones, I made the F a little smaller, and then it was right all within the area without any increases and decreases, so it was a lot easier to embroider. So I'm sure they'll have fun with these. Just gonna cross my legs. I can't say as I really enjoyed making them, but I know that they will enjoy having them. So that's what Christmas is all about. And so I can now wrap these up and put them with the rest of their gifts now that I've shown them to you. Last week, I guess it was, I started thinking about what to give my curling teammates. We normally exchange a very small gift at this time of year. One woman always gives us a little box of homemade fudge. We'll sometimes do little boxes of chocolates or scratch lottery tickets. Last year, or was it the year before? I can't remember. Last year, I guess. One of our teammates is a potter, and I should grab it. It's just over there. It's a little ceramic dish that she made, and it's supposed to be for like salt and pepper. Put it on your counter or your table. and grab a pinch of it, but I've put like little knitting stuff in it. I think I'll just stay here. It's easier. Anyway, so it got me thinking about, well, maybe I should make something this year. So my first thought was to do a little miniature sweater Christmas tree ornament. And I found a great pattern by Miriam Felton, which I think is also over there, or it's in my craft room. It came with some different designs you could put on front, like a Christmas tree or a snowflake. And then I thought, oh, maybe I could find some kind of stitch chart, either a cross-stitch chart or a colorwork chart with a curling rock on it, and I could embroider that on instead. And in the process, I actually came across a pattern for an actual miniature curling rock, and I decided, well, that I was going to do instead. And I added a string to hang it on the tree as a Christmas ornament. So the pattern is it's called Curling Rocks, ! By K. Jean, Jean. And this was the first one I did. They're all a little wonky. You basically start at the bottom and increase your way up when you kind of get to just before I think after you do a few rows on the top, you put a cardboard disc at the bottom, you put some stuffing in, and then you put a cardboard disc on top, and then you continue knitting in the color and gradually decrease it, close it up, and then you make the little handle out of I-cord, and it has pipe cleaner in it so that you can shape it. And the pattern instructs you to knit this 1.5 inch length of I-cord and then thread in a pipe cleaner. And I thought, she did mention it was kind of fiddly. So I thought, since I-cord, if you've ever done it, you knit a row, and you either do it on double pointed or circular needles so that you have a point at each end. So you knit, you slide the stitches down to the other end of the needle, and you bring your yarn from the last stitch you knit is now the last stitch on the needle, and you bring it up and you knit the next row, and it gradually forms like a circle of knitting. And what I did is I kind of held the pipe cleaner in place, and I knit up around the pipe cleaner so that it was encased in the knitting, and then finished off the end, threaded my stitches through the needle, and then sewed this end to the curling rock. And then, as I said, I added a string to hang it from the Christmas tree. So I decided to do 4 different colors just because I didn't want to get bored. So yellow I did first, then I did blue, and then red. And even though I've never actually seen a green curling rock, I did see photos of them, so I'm sure they are a thing, and so I did a green one too. Our club has yellow and blue, and I know on TV I think it's usually red and blue. So anyway, there they are. They're very cute. I'm sure they will love them. And I am just going to put them into little gift bags and just hand them out randomly. And if they decide they want to swap up colors, they can. But that way I don't have to decide who gets which one. I am drinking a cup of Happy Valley Darjeeling from David's Tea. It's delicious. And I just bought some recently and didn't realize exactly just how expensive this tea is. So I have to enjoy every drop. It's almost the price of gold, but it's good. Okay, so that's all I have for finished things. And I'm sorry, my furnace has just come on and I'm sitting right by the heat register, so it is going to be noisy. I'll just try and speak loudly enough that it doesn't interfere. And I was cold this morning. Woke up, was chilly, and there was fresh snow on the mountains. The snow line was quite low, And then since then it's become more and more socked in. We've got some light rain going on, but I'm no longer as cold. But it's a knitting podcast. I figured I should keep my sweater on at least as long as it takes to record. And then I'll probably change into something a little bit lighter. I've just pulled a couple stitches off the needle. Hang on a second. Yep, there's one on each side. You know, when I put them away, I try and be so careful not to have the stitches too close to the end, but I still so often manage to do that. Anyway, I am knitting on my Advent socks, and I'm just seeing if my label's here. Yes, it is. It is from the Cozy Knitter in their Bliss Space, and it's a 2019 Advent skein. There are 24 different colored stripes. And because I knew I would need more than 24 stripes to make a sock, I've sort of been knitting 1 to 2 stripes a day on average. And just yesterday, I guess it was Saturday, I put, in between the blue and the green here, I put a half a round of waste yarn, and then I knit a few more stripes, and then I picked up around those stitches, and I did an afterthought heel working from the other end of the skein. And then I realized I ended on pink, and I'm doing pink as my next stripe here, so I realized that I'm very close to the last few colors. So when I continue knitting here, I will go from pink to navy to gray to light gray, and then I'll be starting back at the beginning of green. So let's see if I can, here, I'll throw it on a sock blocker here. Happen to have one standing by. So these have been fun to work on and, you know, see which colors come up every day. And I haven't been peeking ahead. I've been working from the center of the ball. So I haven't really known what's coming next. So that's been really fun. So there you go. So I'm really happy with those. There is even a chance I might be finished by Christmas Day. In fact, I'll do my best to be finished by Christmas Day and wear these on Christmas. But we'll see. May or may not happen. The way life's going at the moment, I'm not holding my breath. Let's put it that way. Every day seems to bring unexpected things my way, and so I don't always get as much done as I hope to when I wake up in the morning. So I've been keeping that in this Christmas, wintry Christmas bag. And another Advent project that I've been working on is the Adventurer Scarf and Wrap by Amba O'Brien. So there's a close-up of the shawl, the wrap, and I don't know, the scarf, I guess is that one right there. Same pattern, just narrower for the scarf. And so every little section is you do with like a mini skein, and then so let's say you do color 1, then a couple of rows from the end you add in 2 rows of color 2, then you add 2 more rows of color 1, and then you switch to color 2, and it works like that the whole length of the scarf. And I have been knitting this out of my Holiday Harmony, that's right, yeah, Holiday Harmony mini collection from Fiber Nymph Dye Works. And so every day I get a little bag with a number on it and a mini skein inside. And I have fallen behind on this project, but here was mine from today, day 16. So they come like that, and then I've been winding them into a little ball and working them in. So I've got up as far as 9, 10, 11, no, hang, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is day 13's yarn that I'm working now, so you can see I'm a few days behind. But my scarf has grown dramatically in that time. I can't remember if I had started this. I must have started this last time I recorded. I don't think it's been, let's see, what day was it when I last recorded? December 3rd. So I had a little bit done on it then. So it has changed quite a bit since you last saw it, if you have not been following my Vlogmas, because I do show it on my Vlogmas episodes every day. So it's coming along. The only change I made was the color that came after this pink was quite a, I think I have it in here. Let's see if I've got the little ball of it here in my bag. I guess not. Oh, and it's probably in my sock bag. Oh, yeah, here we go. Sorry, it's probably not that important. Now I'm just determined to find it. Oh, don't worry about it. Anyway, it was a kind of a neon orange and green, and I just decided I wanted something a little softer. And so I had leftovers from a Fiber Nymph Dye Works sock blank that had like orange and green and pink, and just fit in there really nicely. And so I substituted that yarn and then carried on with the yarns from there. So this has been really fun to work on. Trying to get to it every day, not always managing to. As I said, life keeps throwing me little curves, and there are other priorities. Oh, I'm getting stiff, so I'm just move my legs out there. Tape is, yeah, here is some of the leftover sock blank. So on the outside you can see kind of the orange and the green and stuff. It's getting a lot more pink into it from where I am now, but I used the outside of this ball to work on that. So what I've been finding is once I finish the allotted number of rows on the scarf, I usually have about, I'd say, average of 3 grams of yarn left over. Sometimes more, sometimes less. So I decided to make some Scrappy socks, and I started at the toe because I didn't know how far I would get. And so I have been knitting these from the toe up. Here's that neon color there. I knit them into the socks. And I also had another leftover sock blank that I had got, I think, last year. And it has all sorts of colors in it. So I decided that would be a good color or a good yarn to use to add in a heel. And so I've done a short row heel. So yeah, the needles are all kind of tangled up here. So there's my foot done. I finished the heel on one of the socks, and now I can continue with the next color. So I do have, I think, a couple of rows after the heel done, but I haven't worked on those in a few days. So I will work the second heel, and then those will also just be ready to go plain knitting up to, I'll see how long they are. I may end up using the same yarn for cuffs if the stripes aren't as, if every day's yarn, if these stripes don't make the socks as long as I want them to be, then I'll switch to that for a cuff. So I've really been enjoying watching these knit up because the yarns knit up differently in the socks than they do in the scarf. It's just been really fun. And that's the kind I usually will work on my Advent projects. I kind of try and keep them for first thing in the morning and evenings. I am doing my best to limit all my gift knitting and other jobs to the day so that I can have at least some time, not the whole night obviously, but sometime in the evening. I try and start my day and end my day with my Advent knitting, and it's just that little bit of time for me and calm my mind and try and just relax a little and not feel quite so stressed going into the holiday. I have to say, with just over a week left until Christmas, a little bit of panic is starting to set in. Something I have worked on a little bit, I showed this pattern last time. I think this is my third winter that I've had this going. It's the Longest Night Shawl by Lori Law. And it is done with Willy Wonka fibers, silk and merino lace weight in the Solstice colorway. And I think I started it 3 years ago on the winter solstice. And I have managed to do some work on it. It has not grown much since the last time I showed it to you a couple of weeks ago, but I did finish off one of the chart repeats, and I'm ready to start. I think it's my 4th out of 5 chart repeats that I have to do. That's the next step. I don't know that this light is showing this yarn up to its best advantage, but it is really, really beautiful shades of blue. And almost periwinkle in there too. It's just beautiful. So when I do get a chance to work on it, I am enjoying that quite a bit too. Oh, I do have to get up now because the next project I want to talk about is sitting over there on the love seat. So I'm going to put this off anyway because it's probably going to turn itself off in a minute. I think it lets me record for just under 30 minutes. So I'll turn it off. I'll go get what I want to show you, and I'll be right back. I had to get up anyway. I thought I'd grab this dish that my teammate had made for me. Like I said, I can't remember if it was last Christmas or the Christmas before. But it's really nice. And then this is the little, it's called Tiny Sweater by Miriam Felton. And you get an idea there of the kinds of things. So maybe next year I'll knit little mini sweaters for them. So I think that would be fun to do. One of our viewers, Angela, remarked that for someone who doesn't really like knitting like little toys and stuff, I was sure doing a lot of it lately, and that's true. I don't really enjoy it, but at the same time it is kind of fun to it's fun to see the result, even if the making is not always my favorite part of knitting. And in that vein, I am making a pair of felted clogs for my brother-in-law for Christmas at his request. And so Friday night I cast it on, and I thought I might get the sole done maybe, but as it turned out, my husband was later coming home from work than either of us had expected, so I kept on going and got so far along the top that I just kept on knitting and finished that Friday evening. So I still need to knit a second sole because they are double soled, and then I have to knit the whole other one. So this is being done in Peyton's Classic Wool worsted, and the darker color is called Heath Heather, and then the light is Natural Mix. And so once they're felted, they will look like this, only bigger and a different color. These are ones I have made for myself and wear around the house constantly. I've been having so much fun wearing my Christmas socks every day. It's worked out perfectly that I have enough pairs that, like today's laundry day, and I washed all the ones that I've worn this week, but I have one pair to spare. And so tomorrow, the ones I washed today will be dry and ready to wear. So it has been a fun little tradition to have, to wear Christmas socks every day in December. Okay, let me see. We'll make some notes here. Oh yeah, so a few weeks ago I talked about, I was working on my Granito by Joji Locatelli, and I knew that I was going to need, or I came to realize I was going to need one more skein of yarn to finish. It is done in Malabrigo Arroyo in the Jupiter colorway, and so I tracked down another skein from, it used to be called Love Knitting, now I think it's called Love Crafts or Love Craft. Oh, actually I have a voice right here. Love Crafts. And instead of just ordering it and paying the shipping, I of course took advantage of free shipping and ordered some more yarn. So here's my skein of Jupiter, and I compared it to my sweater in progress, and it looks very similar. It will blend in just fine with the other skeins that I have on the go. So I was really happy to discover that, because I know with hand-dyed yarns they can vary quite a bit. In fact, I've got an example that I will show you in a minute. So I was really happy to have this come and be, you know, very similar to the skeins I've already been using. I also took that opportunity to order this Bergère de France Gumi 50 in the Emprunt beige colorway. That's my horrible French accent. I've seen this on, I think, a couple of different podcasts over the years, and I've always really liked it. I have to say, I thought it would be a little more pink rather than kind of a corally orange, but it's still nice. And they do knit up really nicely. So finally got myself some of that yarn after thinking about it literally for probably a couple years. I picked up a skein of this Heritage Wave, Cascade Heritage Wave yarn. Earlier this, I guess in the summertime, or no, I know it was in September when I'd come back from Edmonton with my mom. We'd stopped in a yarn shop in Kamloops. And they had some of this wave yarn in Cascade 220 Superwash, I think it is, and then they also had the sock yarn. And I didn't buy any of it then, and I came home and I ended up ordering a sweater's worth of the 220 Superwash. But I decided I would pick up a skein of the sock yarn because it's just kind of fun. It's this ever-changing, it's like barber poled yarn. So it never repeats itself, kind of like hand spun in that respect. Sort of, but not quite like, what's that yarn that I really like? It'll come to me. Oh, Zauberball Crazy. It kind of works like that, only I think a little more subtle by the looks of it. Anyway, I think what I'm going to do is wrap this up and give it to Cameron for Christmas with a promise of new socks to come, because I'm finding him incredibly difficult to buy for or make for or shop for this year. I ended up, his photos in his office were really old, and a few months ago, actually more than just a few months ago, quite a while ago, I think I was at his office for some reason, and I brought all his photos home and said I would update them, and I never got around to it. So last week I went looking through photos and found some of all the different members of the family, and and got some frames, and so I'm wrapping those up, or I actually have done. They'll go under the tree. I'll give him this, and I don't know, he's so difficult, you have no idea. Even him trying to come up with ideas for his brother and our brother-in-law, they each have his name for Christmas. It's been really tough, because he's very picky about like clothes and stuff. He wants to pick them out himself and doesn't really need things. Anyway, that's a long way of saying I'm going to give this to Cameron for Christmas and turn it into socks after Christmas. I got this skein of Regia Perfect. They'll make 2 identical socks like that, and I thought that would be a good one for a guy too. This yellow is just indicates where the patterning starts. It's not part of the actual sock. And just because it was pretty, I bought this skein. I'm hoping the light catches the sparkle. It has like a holographic sparkle in it. Maybe that shows you. It's Madeline Tosh Merino Light Holo Glitter, they call it. And this is the colorway, Beta Crucis. I have no idea what that means. Beta, I guess Beta Crucis. It's probably Latin. I should have looked it up. Maybe I will and put it down here. We'll see how energetic I am when it comes to editing and if I remember. But anyway, I thought it was really pretty. It would make a nice little scarfy shawl thing. So that actually came this morning, even though I ordered it, over 2 weeks ago, I think. Which is not crazy. I think it came from the States. That's not a crazy long time, but it's surprising sometimes how quickly things will come. And then I had an email from, it's not a local yarn shop, as in it's not where I live, but about 45-minute drive from here is a yarn shop called 88 Stitches, and it is one of my favorite yarn shops, and I'm lucky to have it within driving distance. So the owner's daughter, Melissa, is the dyer behind Sweet Fiber Yarn. And 88 Stitches is the only store that actually carries it in store. Otherwise, you have to get it online or at a fiber festival or something. And got an email to say that they were having like a pop-up shop on Saturday. So since Cameron and I were heading in that direction that day anyway, I asked him if he would mind stopping. And it was later in the afternoon when I got there, so I thought maybe it would have been picked over, but there was still plenty of beautiful things to choose from. Pat myself on the back. There was a gorgeous, there were 3 skeins of this beautiful red fingering that just caught my eye right away. But I thought, I'm working on a red sweater now. Resist, resist, resist. And so one thing that I saw right away, and hopefully the light looks like it's coming up a bit later on camera than in real life, but it's got purple and blue and gray and almost a little bit of a, I don't know, I guess I could say the green has a little bit of, or the gray has a little bit of a green cast in some places. Anyway, this is called, it's a super sweet sock, which is a 80/20 merino nylon, but it's called Mountainscape. And if you've watched for any length of time, you know how much I love our mountain view that is behind our house. We live in a valley. We literally are, where I live is surrounded in mountains, but I have a beautiful view right out my back window, right outside my backyard, literally. And so when I saw that, I thought I have to get that. It is definitely, I looked at them every day, multiple times a day, and I never get tired of the view because it's always changing. There's always something to look at. So anyway, that, just for sentimental reasons, I grabbed that one. And then she had some skeins, like mini skeins, and I actually didn't even look to see. Okay, they're 25-gram skeins. So there's 5 25-gram skeins. They were in bundles, and I kept picking up this one. And some of them are labeled with colors, some are not. So like this one is called Trellis. This one, I don't know. This one is Tea Leaves. Love that one. This is Fossil. And this one is Driftwood. So my immediate thought was doing a shawl with, you know, some colors worked in. So I was looking for a main color to go with it. And in the sweet sock, I couldn't find anything quite right. And then over across the shop on a table was the Cashmerino 20, which is the 70% merino, 20% cashmere, 10% nylon. Had colors over there. So, and Melissa was sitting there, and so I said, "You're the dyer. What would you put with this?" And we were looking at different colors. We ended up settling on the skein, and you can see it looks very similar to this color, and in fact it is the same colorway, just in a different yarn. And it really was the best match. So whether I thought, well, even if I didn't use this one, I'd use it for heels and toes or something, or incorporate it, you know, in such a way it's a little bit lighter, so it does have some contrast. So that was my thought when I bought this. And then just as I was getting ready to record and writing out show notes, I was looking at the colorway name Driftwood, and I thought, you know, I have a sweater's quantity of what I thought was cashmerino I was trying to figure out what color it was, like trying to remember, and I thought, is it wood smoke or is it driftwood? Because I sort of had that in mind. And I went and looked, and actually what I have are 3 skeins of the sweet sock in driftwood, but I'll show you how very different they are from what I bought on the weekend. So this is the driftwood that I already own, and I own 3 skeins, and even they are a little bit different amongst themselves. There's almost like a light, medium, dark going on. I don't know if you can tell in the light. So it looks quite different from, this is the lightest, and it still looks different from that one. And it looks even more different from that one. And this is the darkest. So then I started thinking, ooh, maybe a color work sweater, because they certainly all go together there. And then use the cashmere merino for, you know, socks or something else. So that's kind of where I'm going now, because I think that would be beautiful. So, time to percolate and think about that, but that's where I'm leaning with those. And then there's another yarn shop called Valley Yarn that's been there for quite a while, but it's even further west, and was not too far. It was sort of in between 88 Stitches and did I mention we were going into Surrey for my husband's work Christmas party on Saturday, and we were staying in a hotel overnight. So Valley Yarn was kind of in between 88 Stitches and the hotel. So Cameron's so accommodating. So he, you know, we drove over there, and he sat in the car and read his Kindle, and I went in and looked. And I'm so happy I did. It's a beautiful little shop. Very nice. They had the owner was there and another employee. They're both so friendly and just lovely. So I'm so happy to have gone in. And so you know, look around as you do. One skein that caught my eye, which it's not even like my colors really, but I really loved it. It was in the clearance for half price, and it's Tosh Merino Light again. Called Jupiter's Moon. So I guess I'm on a Jupiter kick between this and my other, but I just couldn't resist it for the price especially, and I just thought that'll again make a nice little scarfy shawl thing. And it's good to go out of your comfort zone sometimes. But then what really, really caught my eye was this skein of, it's Biscotte yarns. I think they used to be Biscotte et Compagnie. So I believe they die out of Quebec. Let's see if it says. I don't see that on here, but I'm pretty sure that's where they are. And then and it's self-striping. So it has red and white and then these little bits of kind of pale blue with flecks. And then I saw the name, and the name of the colorway is Mon Pays c'est l'hiver. And if you are Canadian and if you took French in school, which we all had to, chances are you came across the name of Gilles Vigneault, well-known French-Canadian poet, singer, songwriter, and his song Mon Pays is very well known, and it's sort of the unofficial anthem of Quebec. So it's Mon pays, ce n'est pas un pays, c'est l'hiver. My country is not a country, it is winter. And I just, again, sort of sentimental reasons, just resonated with me, and so I got that. And then the owner very kindly pointed out, did you see the one with the Hudson's Bay colors? And I think it was Shirley mentioned recently about Hudson's Bay colors and working them into a shawl. Well, look at. This is a sock yarn with stripes with Hudson's Bay colors. It is called Hudson Memories. Hudson's Bay Company, for those who may not know, is a huge part of our Canadian history. The fur trade, in mainly beaver pelts to make beaver felt hats in Europe, was a huge part of our country's history, the fur trade. And I have ancestors that worked in the for the Hudson's Bay Company, and just again just resonated with me. I've done I majored in history. I went back to university when my kids were young and got a degree in history, and was particularly interested in Canadian history and particularly interested in like fur trade history, and did several papers and projects about the fur trade. And so this just spoke to me. So I don't know when any of these things will actually get knit up, except for Cameron's socks. I will start those soon after Christmas. But yeah, I guess Merry Christmas to me, right? Let me just see what else got written down here. So I have to say I've lost track of sort of what's happened since I did a regular episode last, because I've been doing Vlogmas every day. And so if you've been following that, you kind of have an idea of what I've been up to day by day. In general, it's a lot of Christmas and Advent knitting, as you've seen. A lot of preparation for Christmas. We are not hosting any event this year. It's our year off. I'm gonna cross my legs again. In my family, we rotate who hosts Christmas, and we always do a brunch in between Christmas and New Year's. And this year I don't have to do any of that. So there's been a little less pressure as far as getting my house ready. So I sort of decided the other day that I've got the tree up, we've got garlands, we've got a garland that's around our entranceway to our dining area of our kitchen, and we have a garland that we put down the stairs, and we put Christmas lights up outside, and I decided I'm not putting up any of my other Christmas decorations. We'll live without them. And I just decided to let that go this year. We've have had and have coming up various holiday related activities. So last Wednesday I had planned to record, but had the opportunity the day, or learned, I think the day before that, I don't know, now I'm all mixed up. Last week I had planned to record and I didn't because I went to my grandson's school concert instead, and it was well worth missing recording for. He's just turned 9. It's very cute. His class, or his grade, they divvied him up in grades, so his grade went first, and was with my daughter and my granddaughter, and Jessica said at some point, we can go if you want. We've seen Andrew, and it's like, no, I want to watch this. They did a really good job, and then the kindergarten kids were at the end, and they're always, of course, precious. So if you check out my Vlogmas, I don't know what day it is. If I remember, I'll put it here. There's a couple little clips of the concert. At one point, my grandson is squirming almost out of his sweater because he's kind of bored in between parts where they're singing. It was just really funny. Typical boy, can't stand still. As I mentioned, on Saturday we went to Cameron's work party, and just because of venue availability, it was a lot further away this year than it normally is. So we did book a hotel and stay overnight so we wouldn't have to worry about driving home, and we had a really good time. They always have a live band, and we like to dance, and so we did do that quite a bit. And for me, it's a chance to see some employees that I don't get to see more than once or twice a year. Of course, he gets to see a lot of them all the time, so that was good. This coming week, tomorrow night, I'm so proud of our youngest son. He has, for the last, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years, been going to university part-time and working full-time, and he's put himself through. He's gotten a few scholarships from work. And other than that, he's just put himself through school. He has script and just hasn't had to. He didn't want a loan of any sort. He wanted to be able to do it himself without having any debts at the end. And he's done a super job, and he's majoring. He had wrote his last exam on Saturday. So he's finished his degree. He's majoring in math and minoring in applied statistics. It goes right over my head when he starts talking about it, but it's something he's passionate about. So he didn't want to attend his grad ceremony or do anything, make any fuss, but we did say we wanted to, at the very least, take him out for dinner. So Cameron and I are doing that tomorrow night to celebrate. And he has done, did I mention he's done this with like a GPA over 4.0? He's a brainiac, and he's dedicated, and he's just done a super job. Super proud of him. So then on Wednesday night, we're going over to my sister, the one I curl with, and I keep flipping this pencil around. We are going over to her place, and there's another couple, friends of theirs that we know through various activities too, including curling. So we're having going over for drinks and appies Wednesday night. Then Thursday night is the last night of curling before the new year. I'm not actually curling that night, but our team has bar duty, and plus I want to see everyone before we break for the holidays. Especially one woman is now going to be gone for a couple of months, and so that's when we exchange a little something. So Cameron curls right after we do, so I'm going to ride in with him and go have dinner with my team and do bar duty, and then the guys that curl after us, they will just do 4 ends, and then they'll break and have drinks and appies after, and so we'll join them, or we might still be on the bar at that point, not sure, but then I'll catch a ride back home with Cameron. So we're out Thursday night, and then Saturday night we are having dinner with two couples that are friends of ours at one of their places. So we often will go out for dinner to a restaurant, but this year we're having dinner in. So that's a lot of evening activities coming up this week. It's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 dinners. I don't have to cook myself. That's always a good thing. And then on Monday, my sister Anna Marie and I are going to drive up to go get my mom and bring her down for the Christmas holidays. So it's about a 3 to 3.5 hour drive to go get her. So we're going to leave about 8 o'clock a.m. and then get up there, probably have lunch there, and then turn around. She doesn't want to drive in the dark if she can help it, especially the middle part of the trip. It's quite windy, and just as soon do it in daylight. So in essence, that's the 23rd, so really I kind of have to have things more or less ready to go by Sunday. So I can see a lot of, well, I have to finish those slippers. I'm hoping to do that by tomorrow. And I have to felt them, and then they have to dry. Then we have a bunch of wrapping to do. Still have a little bit of shopping. So it's going to be quite a busy week. And I talked to my daughter this morning. Both she and my youngest granddaughter have been sick the last few days. And Jessica's going back to work tomorrow, but she's probably asked me if I will look after Emily because she can't go to daycare if she's sick. And so while I will quite enjoy spending my day with her, I will cut into some of my work time, time to get things done. But again, trade-offs, and if I had to pick, I'd pick that. So, Christmas is going to come whether everything's done or not, and everything will be done enough, put it that way. So I'm trying not to panic too much. Sometimes I manage that better than others. So I have decided that this will be the last regular podcast before Christmas, but I will continue to do Vlogmas when and as I can. Some days, as you've seen, are shorter than others, and some days really I don't even know what to share with you other than I do enjoy unwrapping my Advent yarn on camera and showing it off, seeing it for the first time at the same time as you. It's just kind of fun. I had a something good this week. Oops, I just jiggled the camera. This is a admittedly superficial something good, and it is such a first world problem. But I'm thrilled to discover something. So, I have never found a mascara I can wear that does not end up underneath my eyes within hours. And it doesn't matter what brand I try, I always have issues with that. I don't know if I have oily eyelids or eye area or what it is, but I recently tried an I guess it's an eyelash conditioner. This is the one I tried anyway, from L'Oreal. And it comes out, it's like a mascara brush, but it comes out white. You put this on before you put your mascara on, and not only does it kind of lengthen and plump up your lashes a little bit, because I was not one of the people in my family born with beautiful long curly eyelashes, but it has also made such a difference in my mascara staying on. I went like all evening Saturday night, and that's probably from about 6 o'clock till probably 1:30 before I washed it off, and it stayed on beautifully the whole night. So that's a hint, a little tip if that's something that you, that if you suffer from too, try an eyelash. I guess they call it a base or a primer. I don't know if one of those is supposed to be French and one's English, but anyway, it really worked, at least for me. So that's my something good. And on that superficial, but whatever, real life note from me, I am going to say goodbye and get this editing and processing, etc., so I can get it up later today. I want to wish you all a very happy holiday, no matter what holiday you celebrate, or if you don't celebrate a holiday at all, wish you all the best for the next couple of weeks. I don't know if I'll record before New Year's either. It's all very much up in the air. So I'll see you when I see you. My battery died completely before I could say thank you for watching. Take care until next time. Good night.